situation where if something wasn't going right for me and I sat and thought, okay, all right, I'm willing to figure out what I'm doing wrong, which is a big thing to think because you never know how much you're doing wrong. It might be something that you really don't want to contend with. But if you clear some space to meditate on that, the probability that you'll figure out something that you did that was stupid, that's bending you and twisting you in the wind, you'll get an answer
Yeah.
very, very rapidly.
I remember, for me, prayer is one of those things. It's like in case of emergency, break glass. Like in case of emergency, start praying. And I'd love to actually use that practice when times are more calm and not when it's like the absolute last resort. But in those situations where I've just had no other way that my mind could figure anything out, no other way that I could see any sense of clarity, any sense of direction, any way out of the current state of chaos or conundrum that I'm in, then I'll start to pray. And it's this deep, like, just please, like, give me like any kind of clarity, any way to see out. And like you said, remarkably, that wisdom comes through some little thing.
It's funny. I mean, obviously, if you have a problem and you think about it, you can think up a solution. And it's not obvious how you do that. I mean, it's not like how you're manipulating your neurons or something. It happens of its own accord in some sense, like you can participate in it, I guess, and you can interfere with it, and it seems to take a certain amount of willpower, but it still all happens mysteriously behind the scenes. And I would say this sort of attitude towards, let's say, prayer that we're discussing is just an extension of that. And it's something like, well, you admit that there's a problem first, and then you ask for the minimum necessary intervention, which would be, all right, well, I'd like to move forward on this some small amount that someone like me could actually manage, and I'd be willing to carry it out. And then you reorient the way you're thinking as a consequence of that, and something usually pops out of the abyss to guide you. Yeah. It's very strange, but it's not really any stranger than the fact that we can think at all, because the fact that we can think is actually very strange. It's strange like the fact that we can dream is strange, and that's strange beyond belief that you can dream. Or that something in you dreams, which is a much better way of thinking about it, because it's not like you're really in control of your dreams.
Yeah.
They just sort of happen. So
I think people can get kind of also tripped up in this idea that it's the external God that you're praying to necessarily, and it's an external force outside of you that's piping this wisdom straight in through your ear holes, and that's where it's coming from. But when you pray, you could also be praying to that higher part of yourself, that divine spark inside yourself, the higher wisdom that you hold. And I don't think there's really a necessary distinction that you have to draw from there. This could be just you surrendering to your own higher wisdom, saying, look, I'm stuck in this hedge of mazes. I can't figure it out. Is there some illumination that can help me, at least point the first step in that direction, and then I can start to plod my way through. And that's, universally what happens. But you have to almost admit, like, okay, I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's why in most religious systems, humility is stressed, right? Because humility says, I have a problem and I'm stuck. And humility says, whatever I'm doing isn't working, and therefore